It was now 2014 and Jim Benning had just been signed as a new Canucks general manager. And in his new position, his first task was to rebuild the Vancouver Canucks. And the first step to rebuild is to get the team a new core. And over the years, Jim Benning has done a very good job of doing this. I mean, he got them Elias Pettersson, a franchise player who can single-handedly win a game for his team. He is the Canucks' X factor. And in 2017, he got them Brock Besser, a great complementary player for Pettersson, and even though some people are doubtful that he will ever come back to his rookie form, in 2021, he has shown glimpses of his former self. And on the back end, he got them Quinn Hughes, a franchise offensive defenseman who masters the art of skating. He has been struggling on the defensive side of, well, being a defenseman, but he's only 21 years old, so as him and his game matures, I have no doubt that he will be able to evolve into a more defensively sound player. He also got them Thatcher Demko, a franchise goaltender who showed his worth in the 2020 playoffs and was rewarded with a very reasonable contract extension by Jim Benning. And lastly, he got them JT Miller, who I wouldn't exactly consider as part of the core for the Canucks in the future, but he is still an extremely important player for them. And I know that Jim Benning has maybe made a couple bad calls, but overall, himself and the scouting department have done a pretty phenomenal job of assembling this Canucks core. So Jim Benning got the Canucks these core pieces, but the next step to building a competitive team in the NHL is a supporting cast for these players. Supporting cast players most often reside in a team's bottom six, and they are crucial for a franchise's success. And that's because in today's NHL, you just can't get by only having two good lines, which is something the Oilers have yet to understand. And to show how important they are, here are some examples of bottom six supporting cast players on Stanley Cup winning teams. 2020, the Tampa Bay Lightning, Barclay Goodrow, Blake Coleman, and Patrick Maroon. 2019, the St. Louis Blues, Tyler Bozak, Oscar Sundqvist, and Alex Steen. And 2017, the Pittsburgh Penguins, Phil Kessel, Connor Sheary, and Matt Cullen. And now, let's talk about the Canucks'. Oh wait, what is this? A black hole? And who is this? Brandon Sutter. And over here, a 6x6 Louis Eriksson contract, Jay Beagle, Antoine Roussel, who are what could possibly be creating enough of a gravitational pull to attract so many bad contracts. Oh Jim, what have you done? You have spent 20% of the cap on 4 bottom 6 players at $16.375 million a year. Offer Sutter, a character guy who got a hat trick that one night. Eriksson, he is getting paid $6 million to sit on the taxi squad. Jay Beagle, he's good at faceoffs, not much else. And Antoine Roussel, who is supposed to be the team tough guy, the instigator, but really, he just gives a couple hugs and takes bad penalties. Okay, well, I have to calm down because there is one exception to this dreadful Canucks bottom six. And that exception is Tyler Mott. First of all, one of the more important aspects in an NHL player is their work ethic, and I would arguably say that he has one of the best work ethics on this Canucks team, only maybe matched by Bo Horvat. And his work ethic isn't the only thing that makes him the perfect modern bottom six player. He is greatly reliable in the defensive zone. He's the stellar penalty killer that is not scared of putting his body on the line for his team. And on the offensive side of things, he has a couple tricks down his sleeves, and he's doing all of this at a very reasonable contract. The Canucks acquired him in a trade with the Columbus Blue Jackets in exchange of Thomas Vanek. And this is how Jim Benning reacted to this trade. You can do something that is not available to you. I would have preferred to get picks. It wasn't available to us. Yes, you heard that right. Jim Benning got his best bottom six player on accident. He didn't even want him. And we all know that even if Jim Benning got the draft picks that he wanted, he very probably would have not gotten as good as a player as Tyler Mott. Overall, all of these bad contracts by Jim Benning have just not allowed the Canucks to be as competitive as they could have been. And you can see an example of this in the 2020 offseason. The Canucks had 3 main RFAs in this offseason, but the one that they really wanted to resign was Tyler Toffoli. The Canucks had just acquired him at the end of the season for a second rounder and a prospect, and in my opinion, he made the Canucks' top 6 one of the best in the Western Conference. And even Tyler Toffoli really wanted to stay in Vancouver. Listen to what he says here. It seemed like the start of something special out there, and I just felt like I really fit in with that group off the ice. Everything was easy. That's why I wanted to come back to Vancouver. I could have seen myself finishing out my career there, but hockey is a business, and I understand that. And at the end of the day, there was no offer from the Canucks' end. To put it simply, the Canucks just didn't have enough money to re-sign Tyler Toffoli, which all comes back to the money tied up in the bad contracts. And then you can compare the Canucks to a team like the Toronto Maple Leafs. They have their 3 big stars in Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, and John Tavares, who combined take up about $30 million off the cap. It was now the Leafs management's job to surround their 3 very expensive stars with the ever-important supporting cast. And that the Leafs have done extremely well. They have Alex Galchenyuk, Jason Spezza, Wayne Simmons, Alexander Kerfoot, and Nick Foligno. And the Leafs are an example of how many good players you can have on one single team if the cap is managed the right way. And over on the Canucks' side of things, this season, Jim Benning announced this. Our core players, they still need to mature a little bit yet, and I think in 2 years' time, I think we're going to be real competitive. I can't do this anymore. I waited 5 years for this team to get back into the playoffs, and when they did, it was awesome. But now, Jim Benning, you're telling me that I have to wait another 2 years for them to do that again, and not even be cup contenders, just get into the playoffs. That's how low the bar is set for this organization. Getting into the playoffs is an accomplishment. And as a Canucks fan, my best memory with this management group was Chris Tanev scoring the series-winning goal versus the Minnesota Wild in a series to get into the playoffs. And considering how much of my life I invest into this team, like many other Canucks fans, the lack of urgency and care towards the team and the fan base from this management group is just not okay. But believe it or not, this gloomy era of Canucks hockey is coming to an end. And that's because in 2022, the Canucks will be released from the latches that have stopped them from getting to the top, and they will have learned from their mistakes.